Welcome to Love Your Midlife. I'm Darcy Justin. If you haven't been on my channel before, I am so happy you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are coming back as a subscriber, thank you so much. And if you enjoy the video, I hope that you will like the video down below, and I hope that you will subscribe to the channel and also share the video. There are so many women in midlife that are looking for some answers and some interesting things. So don't forget to share it. So in midlife, we can so easily get to that point where we don't really know what we want. And I can so relate to this because I was definitely one of those women that I really didn't know what I want and wanted. And it drove me crazy because everybody's like, well, just do what you want to do. Well, just figure out what it is that you want. And that is really tough if you just don't know. And sometimes the more you think about it, the more confusing it can be. And so, how do we get past that? How do we move past that? I have shared my journey with you, and I was definitely very, very stuck in my 50s, and I felt really stuck. And I think the more I thought about feeling stuck, the worse it felt, right? I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I know that I'm a reasonably intelligent, educated person. Why can't I figure this out? Why am I sad? Why am I lost? Why am I spinning? Right? Sometimes we just feel like we're spinning. And we think about making decisions, and then instead of going forward, we kind of go sideways because that also becomes very overwhelming. I think one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves when we don't know what we want is ask yourself what you really love to do. What do you love to do? Let's get back to some really basic questions that could be very helpful. Um, Ask yourself some of these questions. What am I really good at? And take away all of your take away your goals and take away your day-to-day things. Maybe you're really good at making dinner or something like that. Go down to the part of your life that's the big idea part, right? So take away the to-do list, take away the chores, and take away the goals that you try to make for yourself. And there's another part of your life that's really important, and that's the big ideas. So, what makes you feel really good? Is it helping others? Is it maybe painting? Is it photography? What makes you feel good? Is it being around other people all the time? What fuels you and excites you? What are some things when you think about it, you're like, ooh, that just, oh my gosh, that is so me. I have to be outside. I love being outside. I can do anything on the planet if I can do it outside. Your purpose is really lying in what it is that you love to do. Your purpose is lying in, I hate to say this, your passion, because I know purpose and passion, those two words are kind of overly used right now, but it really is true. And we all are born with a purpose. And our identity a lot of times comes from a lot of other things that bombard our life, right? Maybe marriage or children or a career, and that starts taking up our identity. And we think really that's our purpose, but many times it's not. Um, and here's another really important question to ask yourself. What do others tell you you're good at? That's incredibly important. You know, so and so, you are just so good at this, right? So there are different things that will fuel you and excite you. And it could be the creative part of your brain, it could be the wonder part of your brain. You really kind of need to take a few minutes and tap into that. Um, does money need to be involved in what you love to do and what you're good at? Or is it a hobby? That's another thing that you might want to think about. The other thing that's so important that can bring you so much joy and fulfillment is how can what you love and what you want to do, how can it leave an impact in the world? And how can you serve others and help others? Really, that's one of the most important parts of our life, right? Because there are lots and lots of people out in the world that have a lot of money and are very rich and very sad and very unfulfilled. So a lot of times we stay stuck because we feel we're afraid of change. We feel like we have to make a decision, and we also feel like we have to think about all the details. And especially as women, that can keep us very stuck. Well, what about this or what about that? And so that's really the spin, right? That's the spin that we stay in, which is, I don't know, what about this? What about that? Well, if I do that, then maybe I can't do this. And so we just stay in this constant spin. We postpone decisions because we make these decisions too complicated. So today we're going to talk about getting down to keeping this very uncomplicated and seeing if we can get some results that way. The sugar on the top for all of this thinking, right, that we're thinking is, well, what if it doesn't work? So many times we back out of things, we postpone things, we push things down, push things aside because we're like, well, maybe it's not going to work. And that can happen. That can definitely happen. So let's step back for a second and think about our life in a different way. What if your life was an experience? Now, the truth is, your life is an experience, but a lot of us don't look at our life as an experience. So, what if you could look at your life as an experience? What if you could ask yourself, what kind of experience do I want to have? How could I describe the journey that I want to go on now? How could I describe that? And could we put aside all of the things we thought our life should be and all of the roles that we made for ourselves and all of the baggage that we bring into our life and we carry around, and I have to do this and I have to do that? And what if we just took a step back? Self-doubt is really self-sabotage, right? When we constantly question everything we do and we constantly give ourselves a hard time, that's really self-sabotaging our dreams, our desires, and things that we want to do. And we don't really want to do that. Um, what happens when we don't know what we want? And how do we get past that? How do we get past that? I don't know what I want. And I get that. I totally get that. So here's another way to turn this around. What if you did know? What if we focused on what we do know instead of what we don't know? So most of the time we like to focus on what we don't know. And that keeps us in the spin. And I don't know, and I can't make a decision. And really, it doesn't matter what you don't know. Think about that for a second. It doesn't really matter what you don't know. So here's something you can try. And I would suggest that you get a piece of paper or get a notebook, or even if you're journaling, and try this. Try this. What you know for certain. What do you know for certain? So write down 3 sentences that say, I know for certain that, I know for certain that, and I know for certain that. Hmm. How does that change things around for you? It certainly changed things around for me. I was able to start carving out much, much more of the life that I wanted when I started thinking about what I knew for certain. Not about what I don't know, but what do I know for certain? So let's take an example. What if we talked about travel? You know you want to travel, but you're all caught up in the details. I don't know when, I don't know where I want to go, I don't know how I'm going to go, and so you just stay spinning. Okay. Um, so what if you wrote down what you do know? What if you wrote down, I know for certain that I want to travel abroad, period. So many times, if we write down what we know for certain, what's on our heart, what's our passion, then the details don't matter anymore. The details of how we get there or where we go don't matter because we are able to focus on what we know for certain is that I want to travel and you want that experience. And that changes everything for you. And before you know it, a month later, a girlfriend comes in and wants to go somewhere, and you're like, yeah, because I know I just want to travel. Wow, that is so cool. What other areas of your life could you use this? Try it again for another decision. So the key is to ask yourself, is the action you're taking aligned with what you know for certain? Your truth, your belief. And we're only going to focus on what we know for certain. And that's how you make your decisions. And they will come so much quicker and so much easier when you just stay attached to what you know for certain and the action that can come out of that that can feel good because you're not bogged down by all the details. You're not bogged down by the things that really don't matter. They don't really matter. And that's so important. And moving forward and getting out of the spin and getting unstuck can happen with just such an easy step. It doesn't really matter if you don't know where you want to be in a year. It doesn't really matter if you don't know if you want to start your own business yet or things like that. All that really matters is that you stick to what you know for certain. I knew for certain that I wanted to help other women. And so that became very clear to me. And I started aligning my actions around what I knew for certain. I hope that you'll try this. I think you'll be amazed at how this can simplify the most complicated thing going on in your life right now. I don't know what I want. Oh my gosh, that used to drive me crazy. And then you talk to people, and it just seems like it just becomes more and more complicated and more difficult. Write down what you know for certain. Start with about three, write 10 if you have 10. And then your action steps need to be aligned with what you know for certain. Then you can go back and think about all the things that you love to do, what you're good at, what other people think you're good at, and this can start coming together for you. And this can start actually meaning something to you and making some sense, right? That just drives us crazy when we're like, okay, I have all these feelings. I know I want to go in this direction or go in that direction. And how come none of this makes sense? It's because we're not able to boil it down to a really simple thought that we can hang on to. So yours might be getting more education, it might be travel, whatever you know for certain. You want to start your own business, you want to find the love of your life. Whatever it is, that's the first thing that you want to do. I hope that this has really helped you today, and I hope that you can become somewhat unstuck and maybe stop the midlife spin that drives us all crazy. I would love to know what your thoughts are. I would love to know if this helped you, and I will see you soon. Thanks, loves. Bye bye.